Yes, God, honey. Welcome to Yes Bitch TV. Please make sure you're liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. And thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the panel for today. And we have the fabulous and beautiful Miss Evie Reviews, honey.
Hello.
Yes. And then we have the Wizard of Reads, honey.
The
yes,
wizard.
God. L Teddy 27 official.
Come on, wizard.
What up, what up? What up, people? Wizard of Reads. I got to use that one. I live.
And then we have the Queen, honey. Yes, God. Her Royal Highness, really BTV.
Hello. We're off to see the wizard. The wonderful Wizard of Reed.
because of the wonderful things he does. Child, get me going.
He does. So I have a whole song for him.
And then we have a special co-host this evening with us, the wonderful Scotty, also known as Mr. Still Standing. I'm still standing.
Hey, yeah,
I'm still standing.
What's going on?
Hey, what's the tea?
That's why I went gospel with it. Okay, I'm
you hit the Donnie McClurkin remix.
Child, that Monica hit me. I saw my lover take his soul in front of me. I asked God, why is this happening to me? Because I didn't know.
That's where the inspiration for that name came from, that song.
Every time, like I would read in my mind, when I would watch your videos and your intro would come on, in my mind, I wouldn't even sing along to you. I'd be like, I'm still standing. I don't know why I would always do that.
Yeah, I'm a huge, well, not as much as I was back then, but I'm a huge Monica fan. And when I first made that channel, still, the album Still Standing was out, so I basically named it after that.
Okay. She still slays. When she was doing that tour,
and Terrence,
she was running the girls down.
We saw you in the chat talking about us being late. Don't do us, Terrence. Don't do it. Don't do us.
Crazy thing is, Dior was on time.
He was.
Thank you, Pierre.
Which we appreciated. He was on time. And then my first question was, why are you late to everything?
Hi, everybody. So for everybody to know that we're still waiting on Reesie G to join us.
While we're waiting for Reesie G.
Here we go.
Oh, did he just look? Women, did he just lubricate?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he about to read a hoe. Oh,
just no, I ain't going there yet.
That bitch.
But I'm gonna get the waters. I'm gonna tap the waters a little bit. Just know that we are vehemently aware of statements that were stated on people's lives, directed at those of us who review this show, who are the agents by which some of these very same people get the life that they profess to have. Child, the little Dicky committee always got something to say, honey. Let me shut up. Let me drink my drink. Oh, carry on. But we heard the statements directed at us.
So you were that girl we thought you were. Y'all tried to tell y'all. Y'all didn't want to listen. Oh, but I like.
Let me explain something though. And I want people to really come yonder. Yes, God, honey.
Come with me, my love.
Come with me, my love.
When I had
shout out, mother.
When I had to when I looked at everybody's reviews and I came up with the idea, okay, shit, we all on the same page, especially and it's so crazy how almost word for word our perspectives aligned. And I said, okay, well, that's what happens when you look at something unbiasedly. Everybody wants us to be unbiased. There you go. This is probably one of the most unbiased reviews that you'll probably have seen from all of us at one time.
Well, to Terrence and the Cat's Meow, I'm not going to say any names, but what I am going to say is there's a certain person on the cast that chooses to review as well as be on the show, and they threw a lot of fucking shade at us reviewers today in their review. That's all I'm gonna say. I ain't gonna say no name. Everybody gonna say the name, but I ain't gonna say no name.
King Kang's live.
And at this juncture, although I am always an advocate for everybody to speak how they want to feel, we're going to go ahead and no longer breathe life into dead situations. We're going to breathe life into life. And joining us right now is the wonderful. It is the talented, the hustler. Yes, God. And he's here to join us, the executive producer, co-executive producer of Chasing Dallas season 1 and 2, honey, and networking, honey. Yes, God. We have Reesie G.
Yes.
What's going on?
Hold on, I'll be clapping, but I'm putting my watch on. Hold on.
How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I try.
You look good.
Thank you.
Come on,
I am.
Come on, Cynthia Cruz.
And to correct, I am. There's no co-executive producer. It's only one.
Oh, excuse me. Correction. The executive producer, honey. Yes, God.
Mm-hmm.
And if you
Now,
need a
co-creator,
it's Uno.
Uno. But yeah,
Uno.
how y'all
There's
doing?
no else, honey. There's no place. There's only Uno, honey. Uno. Okay, I'm tired and a little tipsy. Anyway.
Let me get to your level of tipsiness. Let me get this started.
I got to work tonight, so I only had a sip because I needed to wake
up. Hey, boo.
And hello, everybody in the chat. We appreciate you coming through. And Every Reviews has agreed to. She insists that she's going to be the advocate for the chat today because I have a tendency to neglect y'all, and I apologize. We just do our best to want to just run through this. So, before we get into all of everything that is going to come in this discussion, that's why I wanted to do this a little bit earlier because I feel like we're going to be here for a minute. And if you have the time, before we get into all of that, I always like to get to know people before we get to the situations that we're going to be talking about as it pertains to the show. And for you specifically, knowing and being me reviewing and watching season 1, I'm purview to a little bit of your backstory. So can you please, just for the people that don't know you, if they do know you or whatever, just tell us a little bit about who Reesie G is before you got into Chasing Dallas, and just read people in a little bit about your life and the things that you've gone through, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so I am born and raised from Atlanta, Georgia. I moved to Dallas about 3 years ago. I grew up in the hood, in the projects of Scottsdale or Clarkston or Decatur, most commonly known. We didn't have much, we had the corner of the milk carton, but I was privileged to have a fabulously hardworking father and a hustling mama that gave me as much as they could, but they more so gave me values to teach me how to get it on my own, And so I became a stylist when I was 17. And I got that through an internship. Shout out to Sonia Williams, aka Glitzy, who gave me an opportunity to just step into a whole nother world. I never thought I would be a stylist, didn't want to be. It was just something that I was good at. But then in turn, it became an outlet to the things that I was going through at the time. I began my internship in 2007. My dad passed in 2005. And I became, no, you're fine. He's all right. He in a good place. And through that, I became because I was beginning to be abused by my stepmom. I publicly said that my mom was an addict. And so, she had her demons and she couldn't quite get it to take no place. So I decided to stay with my stepmom, but then she started to do some stuff. And it was very much like I could not answer the house phone. I could not ask for a ride home from football practice. If I missed the bus, I would have to walk to school. I couldn't check the mailbox. Very seedy, from The Color Purple. Till she actually fractured my left elbow with the handle of a utility broom, because my dad for 22 years worked for the county. And so he used to take all, you know how black folks do, he take all the stuff home. So we had these thick brooms, these thick black brooms in the garage, and she hit me with it one night, just taking out frustration and put me out at 15. And then the police were called. She stayed in jail 1 day and 1 night for assault, not child abuse. And I became a ward of the state because my dad had temporary custody of me, but nobody knew how long in DeKalb County, how long that lasted because I was in Gwinnett County. But then at 17, my sophomore year of my junior year of high school, my then foster mom, her and her husband was going through some things they couldn't handle taking care of me, so they put me out, and I went to live with a cousin of mine. And then I met, at the time I was 17, well, 16 going into 17. And so I had went to 3 different middle schools, 3 different high schools, just, you know, life happens. And I began to work with her at her store. And through that, I kind of started to blossom into a person that had to get it by any means. Which led me to styling. And she actually got me my first client from Real Housewives of Atlanta, who was Lisa Wu. And I worked with her for about a year through her. And then I went on to do artist development for about, I would say about 4 years. I worked with Universal Music Group and Slip and Slide Records. And then I went on over to working with a couple indie labels in Atlanta with them, and did some commercials and did some branding stuff, and then got into the reality TV circuit, where I started working with Alexander Dilworth from The New Atlanta, Mila Williams from R&B Divas, lead singer from 702, which led me to working with Music Soul Child, Atlanta Exes, Mayetta Shaw, Portia Williams, Cynthia Bailey, Mushia Shakuka from Cutting It in the ATL, and the list goes on. With those celebs or whatever. That's how I kind of got the Reesie G name or brand. And then after doing that for about 10 years, I was like, you know, I'm not giving anything to this world at all. I didn't feel like I was, because I was being a stylist and being in the industry. Sometimes it can be very self-serving and all about the glamour and all about keeping up with the Joneses and all of that. And so I was like, I got to make some type of change. And I told my uncle, I was like, I'm moving. They was like, where the hell are you going? And I was like, and so at the time, for those out there that know about being an entrepreneur and being in the industry and being a feminine member, a visually feminine member of the LGBTQ community, comes with that is admiration from people that just want your body. So I, while I was styling, some of that time was spent escorting as well. So I had a life of sex work, but you know, when the lights got to come on, you got to do what you got to do. And so I was styling. Hello. I was styling, I was tricking, and I was driving Uber whenever, if a photo shoot couldn't come about, I had to make the money. And I was out Ubering, and this Asian guy, this Asian guy sat in the front seat of my car, and I was like, bitch, what the fuck? Sitting in the front seat, not the back. And so we started a conversation. He came down from Music Midtown, and I was like, so where are you from? Da, da, da. He was like, oh, I'm from Dallas. And I was like, oh, okay, tell me about Dallas. And he was just telling me how it's a good place to be and it's growing. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And literally for the next like 3 days, all I saw was Texas license plates, just Texas license plates. And then my best friend of 10 years, his name is Mario, he was living in Shreveport because he went to Grambling University. And he said he was moving to Dallas. And so I was like, okay, Lord, let's go to Dallas. And so I went out of the country with a client for about 8 years. I came back to Georgia or Atlanta. And I was like, I gotta go. So I took I think at the time I had like $800, and I had found a little call center job out here, and I found a Craigslist roommate, and I moved to Dallas. And I was like, I just want to just go somewhere and just be, right? And then started styling a little bit out here, started working with Cameron Westcott of Real Housewives of Dallas, and I was like, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And then she let
you
me
put her in all
in.
that pink. You put
What'd
her
you
in pink. Cameron Westcott. You put her in all that damn pink.
No, actually, the funny thing is I wasn't styling her. I met her at this huge nonprofit event here called DIFA. It was a gala, and she had on this. I clocked her whole outfit. I was like, this bitch got money. And what I did was I actually helped her with development. And I told her, hey, this is what you need to do this, because she was like, her husband just did not believe that Real Housewives was like a real job to him. And so I was like, okay, well, this is what you got to do to make it work. Right. Oh, yeah.
Well, he doesn't really, I mean, just so this, he doesn't really respect anything she does. But anyway, go ahead. That's a whole nother. Right. I reviewed the show, so go ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. And so I just kind of felt like in Dallas, they there's not really many role models, gay role models you could easily pinpoint.
Hold on one second. I'm so sorry. I always have to do this. Wuda, honey, my husband's here. Thank you, baby. It's all for you. Anytime you want it, baby.
Oh, Lord.
Help us, Lord.
Yes, God. Okay, Reesie, I'm sorry for interrupting.
I knew exactly why we were stopping. I knew exactly why.
Okay.
That's a mess. That's a damn mess.
That's God's gift to man, honey.
Hey, Mom, let me call you back.
Hey, Mom.
Hello, Wuda. I'll be by later.
And
we'll have to let.
Not I'll be by later.
I will be on the wings of the gay horse, child.
Come on, the gay horse with sparkles coming out the
Shagadelic.
You know what?
But yeah, and then I was just like, I just didn't feel like there were any really role models here. So I was like, well, maybe I should do something. I don't know what. But then here comes Chasing Reality. I had DM'd and I was just like, hey, I love what y'all are doing. Keep it going. Black gay men, more power to it. And then Dario was like, hey, what you think about hosting the reunion of our show? And I was like, sure, why not? Should be fun. So then I went and did that. And me and Kevon got cool. Our relationship kind of drifted a little bit, but me and Dario got even closer. And then he was like, what do you think about doing a Dallas show? And I was like, okay. And then I rounded up some folks, and here we are. So.
And here we are. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here we is.
That's wonderful. Okay, I only have 2 questions, and then I'll be standing in as the chat advocate. So they're just like yes or no questions. So the first question is, we have been told, so I'm trying to figure out, is this true or not, that when your cast was signed on as contracted players for the cast, that if they got into a physical altercation with another contracted cast member, the penalty for that would that they would be released from their contract and from the show. Is that true?
No.
Okay. Well, then I only have one question, because if it's not true, then that's no. All right.
So to be exact, if we want to be exact about it, I wish I had more, because I was
so basically a bitch can just beat a bitch ass and it don't matter. I'm just playing.
No, what it is in our contract there's a clause that says if you are the person on the defensive or the person receiving the how do I put it? The person that's on the defense, not the offender, but the defender, the one's on defense, then I will have to encourage you, or at least present to you if you want to press charges on this person or not. So that's what the clause says. It doesn't say that you're going to say if you try to not fight. And I could send y'all, whoever wanted, I could send y'all a copy.
So, but my question is, just to piggyback off that question, my question is, if me and Really BTV are on Chasing Dallas, and I bop her ass in the head, nothing happens to me. If she says I don't want to press charges, nothing happens to me. It's just business as usual.
Oh, something happened.
Well, I mean, I can't make you're grown, you're an adult. You're not getting paid from this show. There's nothing I can make you do or make you not do. Only thing that I say to them is that it does get intense. And I told everybody this, I said it does get intense. If you get into altercation, you never have to stay at a filming. You can always leave. And if you hit somebody, then in that reaction, they can do whatever they want to do. But I'm not firing anybody for things that happen that are real. That's why this show is not scripted. This show is not something that, you know, I'm not, this is not a contracted job where you're getting paid and then you need to get reprimanded, because I feel like we're all adults.
But let me push
So
on
if
that
you get
too,
into an
Reesie, and
altercation,
I don't want to take over, you know, they say I have a takeover spirit.
You do.
But I do want to ask this question just to push further on that. Like it or not, whether or not you agree that it is or whether or not you think so, this show is a representation of the LGBT plus community, specifically in Dallas and on some accounts on the greater spectrum, and not just the LGBT plus community, but the Black. And that's even a lot more specific, the Black LGBT plus community. And there are some high name, big time people that actually view this show, the Serena Williamses of the world and stuff, that actually watch this show. And so my thing is, as EP and people that are directly responsible for what gets put out there that does represent us as a Black LGBT plus community, do you think that that should not be something that should perhaps be in a contract? Because that's what they expect us to do. The people, just being honest, think that the Black LGBT community don't want to do nothing but get in the streets and windmill and say, hey girl, hey. That's what they think that we're here for. And my thing is, I would hope that a show like this, and you and production and Ondario and all of these people involved, would try to move the needle and push it in a direction where the typical stereotypes with which people, you know, look at us through can be, you know, pushed aside or, you know, changed. That's just my question. And that was specifically about the, oh girl, you could just get in here and windmill anybody in box and you'll be right back on the show next week.
well, the thing about it is definitely it's out of, if you want to press charges against somebody, you let the law handle that. I'm not the jury or judge for anybody that does something wrong. I mean, I don't think that a person, because the show is not about, it's not about flexing a muscle. It's about showing what we as people really go through. And so even if the cameras weren't on, I feel like that fight probably would have still happened. And so my thing is, I can't force you to do anything because we are all human. I can't force you to do anything. However, when we did sit down, there were contingencies in that contract that I later on tore up because of some other things that happened. But there were contingencies in that initial contract that said that they had to do a makeup scene, they had to hug it out, and then they did not have to see each other ever again, which was supposed to happen on the cast trip. But as you guys see, one person that was in the altercation, or two people, decided not to come. So those, it's not so much of me putting the fight out, but if the fight happens, I think what's more important is the makeup of it, like the reconciliation of it, because we see fights all the time. We see the girls, women in the streets all the time, but we never see them make up. And so that's my thing. So if there's something that people are going through, let's show them go through it. Yes, let's be transparent and real about it, and then let's show the makeup. I'm not gonna take away somebody's opportunity for having a knee-jerk reaction by getting into an altercation from history that they have, because my job is to put you out there, push your product, do your thing that you want to do, and create this avenue for you to be successful business-wise. And then personally, you watch yourself back and you make those decisions. So that's my viewpoint on it.
So I had a question. I want to go back to Trey Howard, because I know you felt like you didn't get a chance to really fully flesh out that whole situation. But before we kind of do that, I do want to ask a question that specifically goes back to the conversation we had with Dior the other night. And it sort of connects to this episode last night. Dior says that he has invited film while he's been actually working and actually showing him doing hair and doing certain things. Don't do that, Reesie. And my question to you is that valid? Is that true? And if it is, then why haven't we seen more of other people? And I ain't gonna just say Dior. I'll say of a more balanced everybody chasing?
I would say a lot of people are not available or they don't respond to emails, or I have to literally beg people to show work scenes. Like I literally send emails all the time. Nobody checks the emails. Granted, he may have sent an email or he may have requested, excuse me, let me be clear. He may have said that he wants to show more of him doing hair on the show, just speaking to him specifically. However, when we're ready to do this scene, when we're ready to film it, if they're not ready or they're not available, I have to move on to the next. And that's just simple. Because at the same time, I still have to, there's a lot of things that I have to pay for these certain things. So when they don't show up or when I have to go and drive a distance to get to them and then they're not available to do stuff, only thing I can say is, okay, well, we'll reschedule it and we'll coordinate then. And so that's what we do, but then it never gets to that point. And then it came to a point where I want to say maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had a conference call with everybody and I told them, I'm not going to stress your personal scenes anymore. And I'm not going to stress your work scenes anymore, because this, if you're not worried about clout or fame or all of that popularity boat to ride on that, then you will be more concerned with putting your product out there, putting yourself out there. And at the beginning, I asked everybody what they wanted from the show. And so that's what I give. Again, I can't make people do something or I can't threaten them to do something, because then I get placed on the bad guy route. But
it's basically like, because I think you spoke on this last season. So it's basically like a first come, first serve thing. You can only focus on whoever is prepared or who's ever ready to be filmed, basically. Like if you ain't ready to film, if you ain't got the time, then you can't. I'm just trying to.
Well, the only things I have, I wish I had a piece. So the only things I have is that it's a 3-strike policy, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't show up to 3 filmings that are scheduled, then you're out. Nobody has done that, because also you have to let us know 24 hours prior to the filming if you're not able to film. So they have been very well on doing that. It's not a first come, first serve, because like I said before, we do have a storyboard. I want to show y'all an example, but we do have a storyboard where things that are on there is work scene, dinner scene. For example, date with Dior's boyfriend date. So this is an example of what our storyboard looks like, right? You know, see? And it has particular scenes per episode, if it's been filmed, if it's been completed, the green screens that go along with it, if it's been filmed, if it's been completed. So for production-wise, I have to follow that, because that's what Ondario, my cohort, my co-creator wants me to do. And so if there is a scene where, okay, you want to put a work scene in, if Really Bitch wants to put a work scene in of her doing something, and that's on Friday at 5 o'clock, we're going to be ready at Friday at 5 o'clock. But then if you tell me you can't do it, okay, well then you missed your spot. I have to move on to somebody else, Yes Bitch TV, because they're traveling over with their team to New Jersey. So we got to catch that. We'll come back. But I have to be fair with what's on our storyboard and to who's available. So it's not favoritism, which people like to say. It's just all based on, okay, this is scheduled on this day, which I let people know. And our contract says I'll let you know 72 hours prior to, but I actually give them a week to 2 weeks prior to. And it's there. And so what I do is, if they're not available, I say, okay, well, maybe we can film it some other time. I got to move on to this. And then the next time that they may be in a scene with everybody. So it's not necessarily first come, first serve. It's just priority of the show.
Okay.
I think my question is, as an EP, and I'm going to speak to Reesie, the EP now, because we're going to speak to Reesie in different iterations. Anyway, as an EP, I do think that one of the things that you have to concern yourself with is the perception of this show, how it is seen or how the show is cast to the general public. Yes, you may be privy to a whole lot of things that the rest of the general public are not privy to. But you gotta always, you especially as an executive producer, has to always be thinking the brand. How is this going to promote or push the brand? And there have been a couple things that some people may say, they call into question about some things that you may have done. I know me personally, one of the first things that when I first started watching it was this season, the first thing that gave me pause, I will not lie to you, was episode 2. After that whole after the party, when you did the live and you was going off on Premiere, talk about, oh, he smoked crack or he snort crack, and if this is what y'all want on the show, this is what we gonna give y'all on the show. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, that's a Reesie cast member who is talking. But I feel like, and this is just me being me, and maybe this is not fair, and I'm going to tell you this may not be fair to you, but this is just what you signed up for. When Reesie the EP is also Reesie cast member, Reesie cannot do some of the same things that other cast members can do, because other cast members are not wearing 2 hats. And unfortunately, that means heavy is the head that wears the crown. That means that in instances like the party, where everybody who's talking about the party has said they were drunk off their ass, they were just drunk as shit. And that may have been an opportunity where you might have said, let me play executive producer role and get all of these good shots and make sure everything is going the way we want it to go. Because I do think part of what you were saying may have been a little bit of inebriation, frustration, anger, and it just wasn't a good look as an EP. May have been all right for Reesie the cast member, but Reesie the EP should have said, hey, Reesie cast member, that's not something that we want to, that's not a good look for us. And can you speak to that? Because I know I just went long and I always go long. So
you do.
Reesie EP says, I have to give the people what they want, which is entertainment, right? So Reesie EP will have to throw Reesie cast member under the bus because Reesie EP has to give the people what they want to see. Granted, that comment about the whole cocaine thing, that's a little crass. Okay, I get that. But at the same time, it's what Reesie said. And so therefore, do I follow on the say, okay, we're going to cut that out, and then somebody says that's not the full live that he did, because Reesie did do that on Facebook? Or do we keep it in and just be 100% transparent and let's take whatever may come that way? And that's the way that we have to go. So as far as putting on the hat, taking off the hat, I still have to give the people what they want to see, which is the entertainment, the realness of it all. And I'm not going to be softer on one person.
You could be affecting someone's 9 to 5. Like if I were on the show as an educator and you said on live that I was out here snorting crack, they would have me down at the Office of Professional Standards and the HR trying to explain why people are saying that I'm snorting crack. You know what I'm saying? So I think that there is a certain line.
That's not my responsibility. That's not my responsibility, because I mean, if you, and I think it's not, only because this is what you signed up for. I am very clear on everything that I say in the meetings, because each meeting that we have when we were signing the contract is an hour long, and I tell people, hey, if this is out, if this comes up about the show, you're agreeing to us going to your Facebook, going to your all of these avenues to take whatever we need to put on the show, and they agree to that. So my thing is, if you are an educator, you have to prepare. And if you don't want to prepare yourself, that's not my responsibility, because I still have a show to produce. Not to sound insensitive, well, actually to sound insensitive, because as an EP, my feelings cannot get involved. It's all business.
But it
Now,
makes
the
it seem
person
like
in
you're saying
me is
a man
going to
has on his
say,
social media that he snorts crack. That's what you're saying. If it's on your social media and people can see that you do it, then it's fair game. But if that's not on his social media and nobody knows that, and you let that be known, and nobody even on his social media knows that, how is that fair?
Let
no,
me
that's
ask
not
you
what I'm
this
saying.
question
What I'm
because I
saying
think it
is if a
ties into.
person,
I'm sorry. There's some type of delay. So when you're saying something, I'm saying something. I don't know. StreamYard's just acting a mess today. It kind of ties into that whole thing. This question I have, understanding, just hearing you give the explanations on, the differences, the different hats that you have to put on. It sounds like you yourself, in some way, are almost admitting, if I'm hearing correctly, that there is some difficulty navigating these different worlds and still trying to keep it balanced. Because it sounds like
no,
it
I
does
don't think
put you
there's
in
any
difficult
difficulty.
situations. Because as EP, you're the professional side of the business, but when you're a cast member, you're developing relationships with these people. And if things go south, from what we've seen in some ways, no shade, no tea, it does come off like you're wielding a certain type of power over them. Because if you know these
No,
guys and you know their business
the
and you
thing
get
about
mad at
it,
them as an executive producer, it does come off sometimes like you can push the envelope on some things. So, if you could just clear that up.
I I never push the envelope on anything. What we're speaking to is Reesie G cast member and Reesie G EP, which are two totally separate things. And the thing about it is, what people have to understand is when I come into a scene, I'm Reesie EP. So what Reesie cast member. So whatever Reesie cast member says, according to what you say, is what's going to be shown, is what's going to happen, and that's how we're going to deal with things. Reesie EP still has to do a job and be fair to show exactly what happened in those moments. So when I went live and said what I said as a person, that has to be shown because that's the truth of what happened. Could that have been taken out? Possibly. Did I want to take it out as an EP? No. Did I care in that moment what I said about this person that just gave me a character assassination in front of all these people? No.
Mm.
But my thing is, if it was anybody else, I would have done the same things. I had to treat the cast member here as I was somebody else. But then at the same time, the general public is going to say, okay, well, Reesie just said this about somebody. Or if it was another cast member, why did Reesie put that out about something that somebody said about somebody? So, I mean, it's definitely a winning or losing game as far as how you look at it. But it's not hard navigating anything at all. I think that what people expect, as far as on the cast, is they expect, hey, I want to be friends with this person. So I'm not expecting for the EP to do a particular job. And that's what I think it is with a lot of people as to why they are,
Okay, hold on.
why they
Hold on.
don't like me in particular.
Okay, wait. Right? I'm gonna let y'all say something. But Chat Advocate has something from chat. Hermit TV Junkie said, but if the point of the show is to promote these young entrepreneurs in their desired professions, why shed light on their demons or after-hour activities? And I know probably at that point when that happened, you was feeling away anyway because you were in a battle. So sometimes in battle, all bets are off. I understand that as a person-to-person interaction, but since you have to wear both hats, that tends to come into play as well. So can you speak?
Mm-hmm. So the demons are part of who people are. So I think if I only show what people want to see as far as their successes and the kumbaya of it all, that's not real because that's only one aspect of a person. And then you get the backlash of the show is boring, the negative comments of I don't want to watch this shit. I believe is when you're not 100% authentic, then you're going to get negative backlash like that from the universe anyway. And so my thing is, if you come and you don't think in your moment and we capture that, it could possibly be used. But if you come and you react however you react in any situation, it's not about me having to save your soul. It's about you presenting yourself herself in a particular way. So when I watch it back, Reesie cast member watches it back, then she says, ugh, I wish I hadn't have said that. So now I have to apologize for that. You understand what I'm saying?
So can I say this
Maybe,
and then
maybe not.
can I say this and then we can, I guess, can move on, because I hear what both people are saying, but I feel like it's almost like a catch-22 because some of the criticism has been that Reesie uses his position as EP to manipulate storylines. So I feel like he can't win for losing. If he was pissed off in the moment, he said something on live in the moment, and it was used in the show. I think Richie G, the EP, would have done the same thing had it been Kane, had it been Trey, Womack, Howard, whomever. And I think that you can't have it both ways. Either he uses his position to manipulate storylines or he doesn't. And it is a thin line. I guess I'm defending Reesie on this point because it is a thin line, and he can't win for losing in this, because now it's, well, why would you put that in there with somebody's reputation? But if that had been King Kane saying it or Trey Howard saying it and he used it, which I
think what it is when people begin to fall in love with particular characters or particular cast members, and they're going to want to see those people do great things. And that's the same thing when you look at mainstream media and mainstream shows that you just feel bad. My thing is what I'm not going to do is fabricate anything. So it's not my fault. Again, if you put yourself in the situation, and Reesie EP has made it crystal clear time and time again that you do not have to say, you do not have to react, you do not have to do this. If you feel a particular way, you need to go. If you get into a fight, the police are going to get involved if this person wants to do this. If they choose to do that, it's on them. But what I'm going to do, what's my job to do, is to produce the truth of what happened. Because what's going to happen, guaranteed, is if I don't show what actually happened, then it's backlash on the favoritism thing. But then if I show the truth of what happened, because there's no way to actually paint someone or edit someone in a particular, like you give us, we use what you show. And so maybe in 30 to 45 minutes, you may not see everything, but at the same time, there are still parts that you play.
But I think that
you can act that way. But
and I don't mean to belabor the issue, but I do want to bring this up because it's going to be on my head anyway. But you started off, when we first came on, you started off by being very open about, no, there's only one EP, and that's me. There's no code. There's me. And if I accept that, I have to also accept that you, me, and everybody on this panel are humans. We are human beings with our flaws, with our faults, and everything that goes along with that, with our baggage. And we are going to feel certain types of way about certain things. It is human nature. It is instinctual. And so that's why when you are just a regular person watching, you can't help but think, okay, is this how it really was? And I'll give you the perfect example. When I watch King Kane's reviews of the show, he seems to have a lot more information that he's privy to about Trey Womack that we are not privy to as viewers of the show. Because as viewers of the show,
they're friends.
And not one single moment has any of the editing, has any of the videos shown any accountability from Trey Womack whatsoever at all. But when I listen to King Kane and how he tries to present it, it makes it seem like he's so remorseful and he's been so accountable, but we haven't seen any of that. And so what happens is, as a viewer, knowing that Reesie, the cast member, was over there siding with Trey Womack, it makes me feel like, because how it was edited up and how it looks to the outside world, that Reesie, the cast member, who may be on Trey Womack's side, is influencing Reesie, the EP, whose job it is to show the whole story and show us everything, because we haven't gotten the whole story. So as a viewer, only thing I have to think,
how does it,
we're
give me
not
an
moving Trey Womack
example of
out.
it looking, give me an example of it, of me siding with Trey Womack.
The fact that we have not heard him,
for this
he
fight.
has not apologized.
Y'all keep defending him, saying
He
that
has not said
Trey Howard
anything
is
about
yours.
Well, hold on real quick. Well, for one instance, silence does speak volumes in the fact that there really hasn't been on, as it pertains to what we're seeing on the show. We haven't really seen an open situation where Trey Womack was actually being held responsible for his actions. But going back to everything real quick, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I said this for season 1. I'm going to say it for season 2. We need to realize that this is something that's just technically starting. And we have to show respect to the fact that there are going to be probably a lot more bumps and bruises than there is going to be perfection. But one thing we all, I think we can agree on, is that the step-up game is everything, because the numbers don't lie. And I know in some situations we shouldn't care about numbers. The numbers don't lie. You have been doing very well when it comes to viewership. You have a lot more reviewers of the show, a lot more viewers giving their opinions on it and everything. And whether it's negative, whether it's positive, it's still giving the platform something. How can I put this? It's giving us something we can feel. But at the end of the day, I think this season so far has, yes, the production has stepped up. Yes, the edits are everything. But I think basically what we all saying is that when production has certain, like that episode that we saw, I know we did talk about this last week a little bit, but like with CJ's involvement and everything, it just kind of like, it makes it feel, we don't expect things to be, 100% what it is. We know there's going to be tea and drama, but when there's a hand in it from production or CJ, can you feel how we feel a little bit? If you were just the viewer, like, can you just take yourself out of that and just look at it how we look at it?
Of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, I see exactly how everybody would feel, and then I would expect when the opinions come out off the season or off camera that they would be fair, but they haven't been. And so my thing is, the only thing that y'all saw on camera that would be perceived as me being on Trey Womack's side is me taking Trey Womack away from the situation.
No, I don't believe that. I think you were doing what any good friend would do. Whether it's EP, whether it's liability or whatever, I would have done the same thing. I don't think, and I wouldn't have automatically aligned you with him for that.
I don't understand then where it looks like the sides being taken, because I think that when it comes down to the responsibility for the fight, nobody is innocent in it. And my thing is, I hear all the things that a particular cast member has said, which, okay, I get that. But my thing is, in the same notion, let's not forget that unbeknownst to me, CJ was divulging information about what was going on in these scenes and what this person was saying about him. So, I mean, nobody's hands are clean in it as far as the people that were involved in the fight. But I guess if I never knew about this information, do y'all really honestly think, and then it may just be a yes, do y'all really honestly think I would put these people in a room together? Because they were telling me, they being the people involved in the altercation, is they were good. Oh, we don't care. We're not a problem. So when we had this conversation that was on our storyboard, I just thought that there was going to be a conversation had. But then when I'm standing out there, if you feel like you can't hold your liquor, then you can't hold your liquor. And people want to blame it on alcohol, but I mean, I think that's just a cop out. As you saw,
I'm gonna say this. I'm trying to see it from both ends. Okay, I'm trying to look at it from a producer's point of view, and I'm looking at it from our point of view. And not only are we reviewers of the show, but we watch the show as fans too. So it's like certain things that we're seeing, you probably see most of it, well, all of it, but we don't see nothing but a small smidge of it. So when we're looking at it, and just like what Really B was just saying, from the outside looking into us, it looks like all the blame from cast members or whatever is just being solely placed, or not really solely placed, but 90% is being just placed on Trey Howard and Dior, when he wasn't the one when they wasn't the ones who threw the first punch. Now that's how it looks. But when we listening to you talk, it's like, okay, you know, nobody's hands is clean in the situation or whatever. And we all agree nobody's hands is clean in the situation. I think that's what Really he was trying to say. But I'm also looking at it from, I'm just taking it all in. That's why I'm sitting here quiet, because I'm trying to take it all in from everybody, and I'm looking at it from your side as well as because
Hey, I'm on this live on YouTube. Go watch it.
So you going live?
I'm on the live on YouTube. I seen the link.
All right, bye. So it's
That's Cameron, my other producer.
So it's kind of like you know, we sit here and we talk about you know, we want kumbaya moments and shit like that, but at the same time, it's kind of like you said, when we watch the shit, I don't think I would, but that's another story.
Okay, let me to some points that have been said, right? And keep in mind, y'all, I can't make nobody do nothing, right? Trey Womack did not want to have a sit down with anybody after the fight. Okay, so I can't make him have a makeup scene. I can't make him have a makeup scene.
Which further makes me feel like he has no remorse. So
I don't think that
your sound
has remorse. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You might.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
The camera and the audio.
The only person. I think that afterwards, looking at them as people, I think they had remorse. On the show, they're not honest enough to actually say that they had remorse or say that they're sorry, which then brings up all these other things. They're not willing to film these things together. They did not go on the cast trip. He told a cast member told a fib as to why they weren't going on the cast trip. So therefore, I can't, because the cast trip, to be honest, wasn't a full trip because everybody wasn't there. And so I cannot make them do something that they don't want to do. If Trey Womack does not want to show the green screen to talk about something I need him to talk about, I don't have the money to wait. Let's be very honest. If Dior's opinion about it is he didn't come to fight, but yet still he didn't think far enough to not wear something that was antagonizing, then that's not, you know, you get what I'm saying? Like that's something that's going to be looked upon as another thing. If Trey Howard was still, he filmed the whole scene and was just asked questions about a situation, and he said all these things, and then came to the lingerie party, and that's the interaction that they had. It's the reality of what happened. And so that's what I have to show, because if I don't show it, then I'm trying to save myself. I guess maybe it's being too honest or being too transparent, but I'm trying to save myself from being the person that cuts everything out, which I've been accused of doing, but by showing everything that happened. Now, when it comes down to the editing piece, I give the footage to Ondario. Ondario does what he needs to do as the editor. I cannot tell him what to do and what not to do. And even when I want him to take certain things out, I have to pretty much beg him to take stuff out, or we will have arguments about it, which we have had. And honestly speaking, even going back to season 1, when he put that recording into the opening, I was extremely mad at him. We had it out. But I mean, you can't, in this situation, I think that people expect some type of, they hold me to some particular pedestal or hold me to a particular regard, and they expect for me to be a peacemaker all the time in the show, on the show, when I'm not a peacemaker. I'm not a shit starter either, but my thing is right is right, wrong is wrong, and I'm looking at both sides. So once again, even in this, they had pre-existing stuff going on. That ain't none of my business. Y'all on the show, I told y'all not to fight. Y'all came, y'all did what y'all did. Okay, own your shit and move on. My thing is, if y'all this is what I wanted to do, only thing that I can do is break it up instead of pulling out cell phones and recording the whole thing. What I would have expected for both sides to do is do it like this instead of doing it like that.
And I hear what you're saying. I do, and I don't want to. Again, I want us to get to some of the other things you wanted to discuss last week. I'm saying, as reviewers, because I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is not directed at you right now. This is directed at somebody else. But I'm gonna be real honest. I'm a little in my feelings right now because of some things that were said about us, and it wasn't from you, so it's not at you. But my thing is this: we can only talk about what we see. Y'all have an inside, y'all have behind the curtain. So if what we see on camera, and I use the example in my review as an educator, I do this all the time with kids. I don't give a damn what they said about your mama. I don't care what they said about your daddy. I don't care how many crackheads they called you. At the end of the day, who threw the first punch? And that is who I'm holding accountable. And so from where I sit, I'm not going to speak for anybody else on this panel. From where I sit, I have seen nothing from Trey Womack to say, my bad. Even that scene last night with his mentor, he still was like, oh, he just don't understand how we do things in the gay community. And I was like, okay, I'm not gay, but he was just trying to get you to make amends and just clear the shit up. I don't see what that has to do with you being gay, but I defer to my other panel members who are in the community that maybe they could speak to that. But for me, as a reviewer, I have seen nothing. And what it seems like is King Kane, y'all are defending him, and maybe it is based on information that y'all know that we don't know. But if we don't see it as viewers, and I can only review what you give me. So if I don't see anything from Womack, then I don't understand why, from my perspective, he's getting a pass. And what I mean by that is, it seems like all the anger is at Dior and Howard. And I'm not saying they're innocent by any stretch of the imagination. Again, I've been in administration. I've had to suspend people, and hey, both of y'all was fighting. You threw the first punch. Okay, you're gonna get 10 days, but you was on social media calling him a crackhead, so you're gonna get fired. You know what I'm saying? Everybody can get a punishment, but at the end of the day, I don't understand why it seems like the anger is going at Howard and Dior. I get it about them not going on a cash trip. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, he threw the first damn punch. I mean, even Amani Van Zant was like, this is how I feel, and they came ready to fight. But they didn't throw I don't give a fuck how many boxing gloves they showed up with. They didn't throw the first punch. So that's where I think my
thing is, okay, if we remove Reesie EP, right?
And
right.
add in, let's remove Reesie out of this, and let's add in CJ, because we also gotta understand that CJ was one of the ones who had a hand in pushing that fire. So it is Trey Womack's fault as well. But for going from what we've heard so far, CJ had a hand in the pot as well.
And as far as
yes, he did.
As far as what really B said, as far as Trey Womack when he was sitting there with King talking about the fight. To be honest, I just feel like Trey Womack really didn't give a fuck, honestly, because he didn't like the motherfucker anyway, and he was ready to bang anyway. So that's really what it come down to. I don't really think he feels much remorse, because he probably feel like.
But you know what, though? At the end of the day,
I think that,
and I hate to cut you guys off real quick, because I want to make this a disclaimer about that situation. We will never truly know the real ins and outs of someone's relationships with these people. Again, we're only getting to see a drop of sand in the desert of what's going on. So Trey Womack and them may have had deeper shit than what we were privy to on the show, because I really don't see why a grown man that served in the military would just lunge at you were being called stuffed.
I mean, he is kind of stuffed.
So let me say this.
And I apologize, Reesie. This is your floor. I apologize.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So just to let y'all know, I don't take offense to anything that y'all say. Y'all's opinion is y'all's opinion. So y'all don't have to give me any disclaimer anymore about the things that y'all say. Okay? I just want to put that out there. Everything is in the game a long time. So I mean, I get it. So we're good. Feel like y'all in any way going to offend me with anything that y'all say. When it comes down to the situation, the reason I feel so strongly about one side where it may look like I'm taking sides, it's because of other things that have happened that are off camera, off to the side. So if y'all only look at Reesie G that's on the show is not taking anybody's side.
Okay.
I have a cast member has not taken a side at all. I have something totally separate, which is reasons why I don't really see it for Dior and Howard, which stems from them being privy to information, them inviting me. It's a lot of things. I just feel like some people be playing in my face a little bit, but that's totally separate. Off of what's on the show, Richie G has only broken up a fight, got on the hip. That's what that was. When we speak to the fight, it's just like I said, well, he just feels some type of way because you've been saying that he don't do tattoos. And then on top of that, the information about him saying that he don't do tattoos got to him from another cast member.
But he don't do tattoos.
But he said no.
So what you mad for?
He don't do no tattoos nowhere in America.
He did a whole disclaimer last night about how he ain't the best tattoo artist, and he ain't. I'm like, what we mad for?
I think the reason why he was so upset. I think the reason why that upsets a person is because it's like, if you've known somebody for years and years and years, and y'all recently just had a falling out, and then y'all get on this show together, and then you're saying, I don't do this specific thing, when you know my history, that adds on to, I guess, some tension, because I don't think that we'll ever know.
But that's not what he said. Everybody keeps saying, oh, Dior said he doesn't do that tattoos. That's not what the man said. He said, has anyone seen him do a tattoo? And then he gets on the show this past week and be like, well, I'm not the best tattooer. And any tattoo artist that I know, because I have 6, 7 tattoos at this point, every tattoo artist that I have come into contact with, I had to look at their work before I allowed them to tattoo something permanently on my body. So if you are a tattoo artist, 9 times out of 10, there's anywhere on their social media or anywhere they have a book full of pictures, something showing their work. We don't see any of that with him. If he's stronger in piercing and he may do a tattoo every once and again, then he should have led with, I'm a piercer and occasionally I do a tattoo. But when he came forward as, oh, I'm a tattoo artist and I pierce and da 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 da. Sir, you misrepresented yourself, and when you got called on it, now you in your feelings. Okay, and another thing, let me be very clear about one thing about y'all say, and especially Imani Van Zamp talk about they showed up with a different type of energy. If a bitch is walking around telling people that they're gonna smack me in my face when they see me, you best believe when I come, wherever we gonna be at, my energy gonna be like, smack me, hoe, and see what happens. It's just that simple. So if they can't, I would expect them. I don't care what they say. Oh, we gonna be cool. We can have a conversation, whatever. Let me be very clear. If this bitch is running around talking about, I'm going to smack you in your face when I see you, then bitch, you gonna have to. Here's my face. What's up? And that's just human nature. That's not just me, because I stay on go.
I just want to say this real quick. I just want to say this really quickly. As it pertains to this, we can go on and on for days about this situation with Trey Womack. All of our reviews, between the reviews that we've done, between having these discussions on the live, I just feel like this is an opportunity to take in something that can be great for the next run around. If that's what you're going to go for, are you going to try to do another season?
Right now is up in the air.
And the reason I say don't stop, is because I see it for you all. I really do, and forgive our passion, because not only we have two allies to the two black women that are allies to the community that review the show as well and have been reviewing the show for a very long time. You also have fellow members of the LGBTQ community and the Black LGBTQ community as well. So I say don't stop, because all of the passion that we're giving is because we we want to see the greatness, and we see the potential, and we see that this can be on major network, or create, or you guys combining your resources and creating your own network for us, by us type of teas. So forgive us for being so passionate. And that's one thing I will say, regardless of our reviews, regardless of the negative outlook, you still have come on here, you know, and you still have chimed in on our reviews and our lives and everything like that. Whether, you know, because some people say, well, you're doing damage control. What do you say to people that say that?
If I'm coming off like I'm doing damage control, I apologize. I'm not doing any damage control at all. Because these are grown-ups. These are grown-ass men. And my thing is, I think that, I mean, what irritates me, however, what irritates me is that, yes, people are focusing on the fight, but they're not focusing on the things that we talked about before the fight, which adds substance to the community, which adds to what mainstream media doesn't show. Yeah, the fight happened, okay, but I don't really care about it. I mean, I'm about it, to be honest, because I mean, people are going to perceive whatever they want to perceive. People that don't think that they're wrong or don't take any accountability in it are going to try to defend them. They're going to pass the buck with.
You're breaking up, baby.
I hope I'm not coming off as I'm doing damage control. That's not what I'm trying to do.
Well, the thing about it is, hold on real quick, Teddy. I want to just get this out real quick as it pertains to the damage control situation. Well, for me as a viewer, fuck me as a reviewer, but just as someone that's watching the show, when we have the situation with the fight, plus we have that scene with you guys sitting down and you know, CJ having no choice but to admit his fuckery and his treacherous behavior. Hello, God. And then we see the lives that you did over the weekend and everything. It does come off that way. I have to admit that when something has happened and then everyone's talking about it and they're bashing that situation, i.e. us, because we sure did, especially with my last review, when that situation took place, I was very angry and passionate about what I was saying. So when you did the press runs and everything, it does come off as if, okay, we gave you guys something that didn't touch and agree with y'all spirits, so now let me go ahead and try to clean this up real quick. That's
the only reason I'm speaking on the fight now. The only reason,
because the question would be, why is the executive producer going on a press run?
So the only reason that I'm speaking on it is only because people are asking me about it, and I'm not going to turn down the interview. I've learned that not to say no. And on top of that is, I think that a picture is being painted of production as a whole, which pisses me off at Dior, because at the beginning when we signed contracts, I said, don't say the show as a whole, don't say production as a whole, just say a specific person. And so as this thing has gone on and drug on, he's encompassed production versus just saying one specific person, which then I have to defend my character as a person. So EP aside, because EP don't care. But the thing about it is, when you have people that potentially want to come to a show, when
you breaking up.
You breaking up real bad. You might want to go out and come back in, Reesie.
Yeah, I'm with Reesie. I'm done. I think we beat this horse.
I have a question besides
yeah, we can move on.
I have questions.
We can hear you, but your visual is a little okay. It's coming back to life. Yes,
I did give Dario my numbers because he couldn't go to it.
Okay.
So I mean, my thing is, I'm not doing damage control to try and do any of that. My thing is, when you put out, I just don't like the fact. I've heard you, I've called you, and I've said, hey, the fight is coming up. Do you need to talk about anything? How are you feeling? Hey, this is coming up. You're about to relive this. Hey, as a person, I'm coming to you. Do you want to go? And all these things, and then you slap me in the face by getting on camera on these interviews and do the exact thing that you said you wasn't gonna do. That's what pisses me off, and that's why honestly I'm here to talk about the fight.
I think that's
That's
the
the
problem.
only reason.
I think that's the issue too. Not to keep talking about this damn fight because I'm tired of talking about it. However, here's the thing. I see this with reality shows as a whole too, because these people you can film this shit months ago, and then when you see it back, it brings up emotions all over again. So now it's like you mad bitch, you mad. I'm mad all over again. I'm gonna beat this bitch ass again. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I would take it, because these girls on the Housewives, they'll film shit like 6 months ago. Then they'll see some shit that happened, but they wasn't there to see what they said in the confession. It just brings up. I think that's what this is. But
Reesie,
But it
I
is,
want
and I had even hold on one second, and even my thing is I had practically begged all parties involved, if you want to have a conversation, you're fan to relive this is what happened. I have begged them to have a conversation with me to prepare themselves. How do you feel? Oh no, Reesie, I know it wasn't you. I don't fuck with him more, all of this stuff. We don't talk to so and so no more. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Okay, it's coming out Thursday. Hey Dior, do you want to do the live with Trey Howard? No, I don't want to do it. It's okay, I'm good. But then here you come saying everything that we had already spoken about. So it's a slap in my face, because I'm like, okay, well, who am I talking to? And now it makes me rethink. Okay, let me go back to this recording and like it puts other things in perspective. So that's the only reason that I even talk about the fight. I would prefer to not talk about it, but I mean, I'm not going to tell y'all what not to do.
Right. Hold on a second. Well, I think all of us are over it at this point. I mean, even before this interview, I was over it. But hold on a second, El Teddy, because KK asked a really good question, and I think it'll be a great transition. And I know El Teddy, we all have questions outside of this particular thing, but I think KK's question is a great transition. And she asked about anybody fooling him, and she asked about the therapy from the first episode. And she asked, was that real? You were really in therapy, and how do you feel like that has helped you? Whether as much as you feel comfortable sharing.
Wonderful transition.
Yeah, you shared.
And are you gonna start doing psych evals on your new cast members?
Right. They'll be breaking them off. But especially in light of some of the stuff you shared with us about just your real life, your real upbringing. How do you feel like that has kind of put you in a better space from where you started, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, and the only reason that the first thing when I was going to the Texas Health or whatever, I was getting my insurance and stuff together, and we just decided to catch that. So that's not where I actually go to a city up north called Frisco for my therapy with a young lady, and she was just not comfortable with filming it because she thought that wasn't right if I was really getting help. If that makes sense. But the reason why but the reason why I started going was because when I moved to Dallas, in Atlanta, I was always perceived as the mean girl because I was hanging around a particular group of people. And I was like, you know what? The reason why I'm moving to Dallas is not for this. And then after season 1, I felt like I was being too nice or being too naive to a lot of things. And I'm like, that's not me. That's not who I am, which pushed me to find some help. And so through that, I feel like I've gotten back to, I figure out the roots of a lot of things. And I've gotten back to me just being no nonsense and being straightforward and set in who I am by not backing down or not letting people disrespect me in a particular way. And if you don't respect who I am, because I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be straightforward with you, then okay, peace out to you. But it's helped me a lot. I get a little emotional talking about it because it's just, I don't want to say it's embarrassing, but that's still kind of like a Black man thing that I'm still trying to get over. But I mean, it's going good. I mean, I'm still in there. I mean, I used to go maybe 3 times a month. Now I go like once a month. But yeah, I mean, I've relearned me.
And I think that's the perfect thing about the show that I love, even in season 1, when we had, certain situations transpire, substance abuse conversations, of course, having the conversation about foster care with your situation. I myself relate, I'm a product of the foster care system. You always find a way to bring the issues up and the awareness for it. Although you wrote a book, Networking Honey, what about writing a book about your life? There's a lot of people that can relate to your struggle and the things that you've gone through, especially in our community. Could we expect something like that from you soon? Or is it still too much trauma that you have to work out first before you're comfortable to put it out there?
Well, my goal is to be, I joke about it by saying the gate Oprah, but I feel like I would rather be on like stages speaking to people or on platforms speaking to people and sharing my story, because I don't necessarily think that my story is unique enough to tell to somebody. I think that everybody is everybody go through stuff, but it's how you get out of that and what do you use from what you went through to progress. And so I don't necessarily want to write like a memoir. I would rather write things that are going to, from what I learned, to put out there versus like a memoir.
Okay, so we got a question from the chat. What is the future for Reesie? Are you going to do a spinoff? What's happening? What's your next steps in this trajectory as an EP? Where you going next? What you doing next? Oh,
I have it's fine. She didn't seem interested. She doesn't seem interested. It's fine. No shade. But I mean, for me as an EP, I would like to do more shows, but I would like to still focus on LGBT folk, just to kind of cast light on what we go through and all of that. But I don't know, to be honest. I'm really focused on the book, focused on, continuing my journey of educating people on things that I've learned to help people out, which is why I, wrote the book. So, right now, I just don't really feel a season 3. If I do a season 3, I wouldn't recast anybody. I wouldn't, if they want to leave, then great. I don't fire people. I let them fire themselves. But I wouldn't recast. I would keep the same cast so that we can continue whatever we have started.
So last week you said you felt like, I ain't gonna say you said you felt like it, but when we got to the end, it was kind of like, okay, it was some stuff you wanted to share, I guess, in reference to, and I don't want to rehash the whole fight. But as far as where we are now, because like you said, things have happened that we haven't seen yet. Things have gone on as far as the show. So as it relates to Trey Howard, I think it was some things you wanted to share or no or yes.
I don't really know how to particularly answer that question.
Okay.
I saw part of the things that he was saying, but it was the same things that everybody has said about the fight and the setup and all of this and that. And I just want to say it's not true. I had nothing to do with it. It irritates me so when they say that everybody on production has something to do with it, when y'all knew what y'all was privy to information before y'all got there. That's my only thing that irritates me so. So I wish that he would come back.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask for a little future tea and ask, who was you trying to put the monkey paw on in the next kerfuffle? You want to share?
Who was I trying to put it on?
Yeah, because you said you was trying to get to that hoe and they wouldn't let you get to it. So I'm trying to figure out who the hoe was you was trying to get to.
It was Tonio.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Are y'all gonna get that child to defend himself?
Let's talk about Tonio.
Yes, please.
Because y'all done backed the bus over. Y'all done rolled the bus forward, put it in reverse, and backed over that child.
Cause we ain't seen Tonio for episode after episode. Now the name came back up, and I need to know what's going on.
People why are they talking about people who in the background? I thought he was a cast member.
We reached out to Antonio to come and do his green screen. 1 minute he's not available. 1 minute he it's a family issue. Scenes, we've reached out to Antonio to come to scenes. He doesn't want to come. He doesn't want to come, so I mean, there's nothing we
You know
can
you're not
do.
gonna what?
However, he's a part of a lot of situations, and the reason why when I get to a point of
You
anger
are such a
is
brat.
when if I let we can hear you talking to him, girl.
I can't hear you. What?
Really, bitch, you ain't on mute, girl.
Right. She cupcaking on the phone with some. Listen, I done text her. Hopefully she'll
It's
look at
not like hopefully,
My
but
bad. Sorry,
I
y'all.
think she's talking to L Teddy. But
That's some good
I
dick.
mean, my thing is when you get into my heart, and then she lied on me in front of people with proof of everything right in her face, and it pissed me off, and I wanted to handle her.
I want to.
El Teddy, I know you have a question. Go ahead and add. The floor is yours, sir. Have
I
at it.
just real quick though, because I always feel like going to the beginning sometimes gives answers. When you originally came on to do Chasing Dallas, what was your original vision? What anything that we're seeing right now was this in your original vision for the show?
Yeah. My thing is, I think people are caught up on their opinions of the fight piece, but I mean, it's the reality of what happens, and I wish that people would understand that. Yes, it's a fight. Yes, a fight happened. Yes, it may play into what happens when it comes down to the LGBT community. I get all of that, but my thing is, when it comes down to the vision, we still are putting out accessibility to certain people that people would not necessarily see in the city. We're still shedding light on what these people are doing in this city that we would not necessarily see. So granted, if the fight was removed, we probably wouldn't be having these conversations, but since the fight is here, it comes off as if we're playing up to the stereotype. So my only thing is that I would hope that people would understand that I'm not taking out anything that really happened, because then that goes into lying and fabrication. I'm not that girl. I don't lie. It's just not going to happen. People think that I should take the higher road, or people think that I should have thought further. I'm just being transparent on what happened. They have to hold themselves accountable for what they do. So when they watch it back, they can clean themselves up. And so
And
the vision
speaking
for
of
the
cleaning up,
show was,
I'm sorry to cut you off. Speaking of cleaning, because I do want to clarify something real quick to everyone in the chat as well as in the panel, because I think we this platform right here, the opportunity to interview, is for you to speak your truth, what you hold self-evident. So to people in the chat or everybody, we're not going to sit here and be like, oh, he's lying or he's still spinning there. This is his opportunity to speak his truth, and this so happens to be his truth. So I do just ask that we respect that much. You know what I'm saying? Our reviews are for our opinions. The interviews are to hear the guests speak on what they hold to be self-evident. So continue on. I apologize.
and I mean, the comments. I mean, I ain't even looking at the comments. I want to look at it, but I mean, people are gonna say what they want to say. At the end of the day, when we get to the reunion, I want y'all to draw conclusions in your heads of what should happen. Y'all can submit questions, and my thing is, at the reunion, if these things were not supposed to happen, if these things were set up, then the reunion would look like a whole catastrophe, and things would come out that should come out. Because I mean, I'm giving everybody room to address everything in the room, but people don't try. People do not address things with everybody at one space. People decline having conversations. I'm trying not to get upset, child. I mean, well, not with y'all, but just in this moment, because I don't want to get on the defense, but something that y'all have to understand is that because of a perception of how a person is supposed to be because of their title and what chair they sit in, should not, even though it may, depict how they handle themselves as a human. When I clock in and clock out, that's the work that I'm doing. But then when I clock in and clock out over here, that's the work that I'm doing. So I think it is irritating, because I'm like, whether everybody want to sit here and they want to say things like, oh, somebody set this up, somebody set that up. Nobody has heard any accountability from these parties. Yeah, y'all may have, oh, we had a conversation, we text and we this, we that. Okay, great. We don't know that.
Right.
I don't dig into y'all personal lives. And so that's the thing. Y'all get sides of things, and then I come off as whomever I may come off as. I don't give a damn what they say. But of course, the viable information that y'all give as people that review the show, because y'all have very valid points, of course, I'll take it into consideration and lock it up. And then if we do a season 3, be mindful of how to portray an altercation from then on out. But I don't regret anything that's happened. My thing is, these people were in this situation. It's are they going to fix it? That's the most important.
So I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna shut up. Reesie, what you need to do is you need to go on and give us the date. You need to go on and schedule that reunion so we can get these flights while they cheap. I'm just saying, so we can get on down.
So we can pay $15 to get a round trip to Dallas. I mean,
the flights is cheap right now, bruh. The flights is cheap.
I know, and I've decided to shorten the season. I'm cutting some stuff out. I sent it out because I'm just tired of people, talking about it the way they've been talking about it. So I am shortening the season so we can go ahead and get done with. I do have a finalized date for the reunion. I'm just waiting on a response for the from the venue. I'm gonna pay that deposit probably next week sometime, and then I'll divulge the information to y'all so y'all can make y'all's way. But it's just becoming too much. The integrity of the show, conversation is being challenged, and it may contribute to a fight, but maybe it just resulted in a better casting. Maybe I need to cast better people that may not fight. I don't know.
One of the things I enjoyed that you did this season is you added Ariel, O'Hara, and Dior, seasoned people in the industry in their own chosen in their professions. And I think if you can get more people like that, again, but I do like the aspect of people being in process before they become developed. But I do appreciate adding seasoned people to the game, and I think it adds a certain level of maturity that we live for. Obviously, through certain situations that we just talked about, that maturity is almost diminished. But in a way, I live for the aspect that they're in their professions, working.
But it may be harder for seasoned people to.
That's true.
They may not want to do it just because of their brand or whatever, because they may be afraid of how they may be depicted or whatever. So, somebody like us will probably be, the best because we're all in the.
Oh, I'm good.
I'm just saying, like, if we wanted to.
I'm an introvert, honey. I don't have a boring life, child. You don't want to talk to me.
If we wanted
Me
to do
too.
something like that, I mean, somebody like us would be better for that because we're in process. Like, we're not.
Scotty, I love you. Can you give me 1 second? El Teddy, what's tea?
I don't have anything.
Speak on it, honey. Speak on it.
I don't have anything. I have no further questions.
Stop lying.
Whatever. That's fine. I'm gonna say this, and Dario, if you still want to come on, boo, I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna get off.
Yeah, does Dario want to come on?
Before you get off, though, I want to say something real quick to Reesie while we're all here, and also to giving you the real tea if he's still in the building as well. I want to give you your roses for something, because reviewing this show has brought me together with these like-minded individuals here. And not saying that without it, but at this moment, I can say that. We're talking about you guys. We're getting all into the tea, into the business. You guys are putting something out there that we're judging harshly on in most situations, due to whatever catalyst it may be. It just is what it is. Nonetheless, you have put on something that we're all talking about and that brought us together. So I want to say I appreciate that, because really BTV, Ebby, El Teddy, Scotty, Cat's Meow, and giving you the real tea, honey. Like, this is how we all met doing this. So I will say I definitely appreciate you.
Rodney the Ghetto View. Rodney the Voice and the Ghetto View.
Oh, I love all of those people, but I'm saying as far as the panel, as far as the people that have conducted interviews so far, That's just what I'm talking about. Like we've been, love everybody, child. There's nothing to nothing. It's just like that, having these conversations about chasing Dallas, whether the conversation's good or bad or not, still brought people collectively together. And I appreciate that. Yeah.
I agree. Cause I didn't you used to comment on my shit. We ain't gonna go there, but we interviewed right now. So
well, all I was gonna say, and
I have nothing further to say because yeah, go ahead, really B. I'm muting myself. Go ahead.
You ain't had nothing to say. Ain't nobody fooling with El Teddy. Anyway, I'm saying this and then I'm gonna come off because either the cat's meow.
Terrence, can I say something? Can I say something?
Oh God, here we go. Yes, darling, say whatever you like.
I mean, as y'all continue to, do these reviews and everything, I mean, I understand that sometimes y'all's points may not be agreed upon. And I hope that as y'all continue from whomever, that just because somebody doesn't understand your viewpoint or disagrees with it, then, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? And so...
Can I speak to that, Reesie? I do have something to say.
I can't hear him.
Thank you.
I do have something to say. Let me speak to that. Can you hear me? Hello?
He says he can't hear you. I can hear you.
You can't hear me?
Can you hear him?
Can you hear everybody?
Can you hear any of us?
Let me go out. I'll go.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear everybody.
Everybody but him. So he gonna go and come back in.
Yeah, he'll go and come back in.
Okay, I don't have an issue with someone not agreeing with a point that I may not have, but don't call me out my name because you don't agree with the point that I might have. Don't call me a dumbass. Don't call me an idiot. Don't do any of that. If you just agree, be an adult and just don't agree. The name calling is unnecessary.
And I'm a ditto that.
And let me say this, dear God.
Here we go.
Shows like a show that is a YouTube show. Let's just be honest. We just gonna be honest. The foundation of YouTube shows are other YouTubers that review regular network television shows, reviewing those shows and getting those shows out to their subscribers so that more people can watch that show, so that show can get a foundation, so that they can get a following, and you all can get all of the things that come along with the perks of having that following, people following your Instagram, Facebook, so forth and so on. And I think that as an EP, and this is me speaking to Reesie the EP, not Reesie the cast member, I do think that while a cast member may not necessarily agree with things that reviewers say, because I don't expect them to. Sometimes we hand out drug problems in these good streets, making sure people get drugged from wall to wall. But with that notwithstanding, members of the show can't in the same breath be on the show wanting us to promote the show to our subscribers, to social media, and then go on the same social media dragging us for filth, telling us we ain't shit, calling us all kinds of nefarious and insidious names, and making us seem like we are the bad guy. Even when we do throw out some quick shade, a good drag, it's really for comedic purposes. And really what it does is it makes our subscribers go, you know what, let me go back and watch this show and see what Scotty is saying, or see what Yes Bitch is saying, or see what Really BTV is saying. And that gives the extra click and the view. Because I might be talking about, and I'm just going to use you as an example, I might be dragging Richie G in this scene, but because they watched, they also saw George, and they might see it for George, and that may make them want to watch the next episode. Or they might see a Carrie D and might say, well, I want to see Carrie D. You know what I'm saying? So it still gets the click and the view. I think as an EP, that's something maybe going into next season or something like that. I'm not saying that they can't say nothing to us, but when you devote whole segments of a live that you do, dragging the people who are getting nothing for giving free promotion and really selling the show to people who may not ever see the show, that jeopardizes the brand, that diminishes the brand. And I do feel like this is a show that you can sell to perhaps some network or something like that, and you don't want and that comes with the territory. The larger you get, the more you are going to have people. And you already spoke to this, Reesie, that you understand that the larger you get, the more you are going to have people that are going to say something about that. We as reviewers know that. Those are the numbers of subscribers, baby. The comments drag us for filth. They talk about every horrible thing we have. Any inflection in our body that we have, any thing that we got wrong that God gave us, they're gonna tell. And so I just really wanted to say that, because I'm gonna just call a spade. And I know I don't usually have no problem with King Kane, but he went on a live earlier today and drug us on this panel for filth.
I haven't seen
drug us left, right, and sideways. And I don't think that was fair, because I do think in our reviews we are fair, and all we do is comment on or add commentary on what we see. And I just wanted to say that because we do take time. We have a whole lot of shows we review, a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? And I do think that, we're doing a whole lot here. And I went long-winded because I went a long time without talking, and they kept cutting me off anyway. So I don't care how they feel, because they was cutting me off anyway.
Well, to piggyback off what you said though, the thing I can say about this particular show is they do give us the opportunity to interview them, and they do acknowledge the fact that we do review the show and that we love the show. No shade to no other shows like this one, but some don't even acknowledge us as reviewers or the people that kind of put their show out there. Because I can give you an example. There are some people that look at my show, that look at my channel, and I review love and hip hop and all that shit. They see me reviewing this show, they don't even know about the show, but because I'm talking about it, they want to see what the hell I'm talking about. So I can at least say I appreciate the fact that no matter what I say, because I can say some shit, but no matter what I say in regards to the show, y'all are willing to come on and speak with us about the show, and y'all appreciate us even recapping the show, because some shows don't do that at all.
Yeah. And my thing is, to be very honest, if there weren't things that y'all didn't understand, then y'all would have nothing to ask the cast members to give clarity on. So it gives, I get how this goes. And so it's a working thing. Relationships built, there are relationships with the Shade Room, with VH1 and Love It. So I get how this goes, and so I think that we're working in tandem. So with Kane, I can't speak on Kane, because Kane done drugged me on his live too, which I'm on his review too, which is fine. I'm okay with getting drugged. They ain't gonna touch me, but I'm okay with getting drugged, but it's like
we'll hand out a good dragon.
Try and get. Yeah, definitely. I say that y'all reach out to them, but it's like I just wanted to make sure that that just saying that too, because it felt like you kind of had just kind of checked out for some reason. I was like, girl, come back in. But
yes, you
Reesie, I know you see my reviews, and
Reesie, that's my little brother, and he's a brat. It is what it is.
I am the nicest one of all of the reviewers that are on here. You know that, Reesie. You cannot argue with me.
And he know you a damn lie.
Miss Thing Girl, you are not the nicest.
Bibby T, Baba T.
Well, who is the nicest?
This is a no lie zone, honey. We will not be lying this evening.
I think the nicest.
With y'all, I'm not gonna keep doing this with y'all. Y'all taking me off. The next interview,
I would say the nicest would be probably a tie between Ebony and Really Bitch. Only because I think that they
have ovaries.
They're so invested with their heart. And then I think that the fairest that tries to see both sides is Scotty. I think that Yes Bitch TV does the job very well with making sure that I think that he has a way. I think that you have a way with seeing what somebody is going to say from a standpoint that is going to help get further for branding purposes. Like you're able to pull something out of somebody and say, hey, I know this is but could you think this way? Could you try and think that way? Do you think that that's possible to get that answer? And then you're like, okay, cool. You know, even though you have a fabulous poker face, because you never know what you're thinking. And then El Teddy is going to push the envelope and just say what everybody else is not going to say and just check a bitch.
That's true.
Speaking of, did we answer the question real quick about
What
is it true?
I'm great, Jessica. I'm great because I'm great. Come off so somebody else can come on. But I do have something I want to say, and I want to publicly say this, and I'm gonna try to get through this without crying. Damn you, Reesie G. But I do want to say thank you. Outside of chasing reality, outside of chasing Dallas, outside of being a reviewer, there have been times when I have reached out to you and asked you personal questions. In reference to advice and things of that nature. And I just want to publicly say to you to thank you for that, for always having the time, always taking the time. And you've been very helpful in helping me relate to my students who are on the spectrum. Some of the things you shared last season made me come to you and ask you certain questions. And so publicly, I just want to thank you. And you know, and yeah, you almost had me crying the other day. So I just want to publicly thank you. I'm going to come off because I do want to give some other people an opportunity to come on and just speak with you. I know, and Dario wanted to come on. I know Giving You the Real Tea is in the chat, and I know he wants to come on. So I'm gonna come off, but I just wanted to publicly say that. Yeah. So thank you and good night, everybody. I'll be in the chat. Thank you for the our opportunity. And Reesie, thank you.
Don't forget the after party. Don't forget the after party.
You gave us some time and I appreciate it. El Teddy, you just shut up. You just shut up.
Shut up.
Can anybody be in the after party? Is there a limit to the after party too?
Well,
or no?
The after party, they can be backstage and they can hear, but what you can do is you can toggle back and forth in the after party to put them up and put them down, but they can still hear everything that's going on.
And then something else that I want to say is to do like something I really feel like some people
you're breaking up,
and I have to figure out a way to. Can you hear me?
You're breaking up a little bit.
Spectrum always be trying to
get you. You're good now.
They do. But I mean, I think a lot of people on the cast expect built from me, and I've never been really open to that, which caused some problems too, because I still have to do a job on top of, I'm just very, I'm not going to say cold, but I'm just very much, hey, we're here to film the scene and that's it when I'm Reesie G. So I think that's caused a problem too. And I'll address that when we're done with the season. No.
Is there a possibility? I don't know if you go into this because it seems as if there's a decent level of professionalism when it comes down to certain things that you've done. And hearing you speak on it and hearing a lot of the other cast members speak, that there is a formula to this. And I do love that. So going into this, is there a conversation like, this is who I am when you're casting and you're doing your casting interviews? Is there a conversation that I'm EP, but I'm also a cast member, and this is what is expected? Because I feel like sometimes, in the chat earlier, people are saying, well, if people aren't getting paid, they're going to treat it like it's nothing. So I wonder, is there an order and a structure that you demand when you do these cast interviews and you have them sign contracts and say, look here, this is what's expected? Because it seems like in the beginning, it starts to go pretty good. And then as we see the season unfold, the girls are just not getting along and they're just doing what the fuck they want to do, but they don't want to participate in anything. So can you speak to that?
Very true. Hold on 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I understand completely because I know Spectrum ain't shit.
I think that's very true because can y'all hear me okay? Is it okay?
It's coming through. It's just a little staticky here and there with the visual.
Okay. I think that when it comes down to at the beginning, because what y'all don't know is the casting process for the show lasts 3 months. So I mean,
Oh,
and that's
wow.
just, I'm bringing them in for several meetings. We do in-depth interview. I bring in other professionals in to judge the people, just to see what's what. And then we have these sit-down meetings. I don't hang out with people. I don't hang out with the cast outside of the show. So whenever I do come into the scene, we have good filmings and we have good vibes with each other. But then I think that at times they do expect that other side. And then it's like, when you have to, you think that somebody is in your corner and they're not going to do this because you built some type of friendship with them. So I think that that may have a factor with it, but I try my best to express to them, hey, this is Reesie. I'm very private, which I am very private when it comes down to my personal life. And this is the job of what goes on. Are you okay and comfortable with that? And they say yes, and I believe them. But I don't necessarily think that's it, because I guarantee you, if I was to call any person right now, today, like in 30 minutes, and say, hey, can you meet me to have a conversation tomorrow morning? All of them would be open to doing so, and we would be fine. But that would be something personal that I would have to have with them, which I don't really want to do. But because I think that the reason why people are lashing out, not necessarily lashing out, but if they feel some type of way, is because it's more of a personal thing, not a professional thing. You know, because if I wasn't a cast member and I was just EP, I don't think that there would necessarily be a problem. But then if I was only cast member and not EP, I think that these problems will still be here because of the way I do things on the show. Well, later on down, y'all will see more, but I think that that's a thing too with some people.
Okay, is that that just?
Oh, and hold on, Scotty, real quick. I apologize. I just wanted to introduce, I should have did this earlier, Giving You the Real Tea is with us as well, everybody. Shout out to that.
Hey, Terrence and Scotty, don't you put on not one more article of clothing. We want you in the least amount of clothing as we can get.
Take it off.
You know what?
Stop playing, Scotty.
Scotty out his clothes. And
He already gave me the ass shot.
I just got one quick question.
Earlier.
Teddy, hush your mouth. I got one quick question, Reesie, about something that you were saying earlier in the show. Why is everybody in everybody else's phones? I don't understand. You talk about Dior and Howard's phone, Antonio and somebody else's phone, you and Dior's phone. Why is y'all in each other's phones like that? Like, I don't understand. Nobody is in my phone like that. Not even my children.
I'm gonna go out and come back in on my other phone, y'all. Hold on, because it's like staticky. Hold on 1 second. I'm trying to do it. How do I exit out of this one?
Hey, the ghetto view. Just click the
Just go to leave studio. Okay.
I wanted to ask him what he thought about my review, girl. I felt left out. But fuck all that. Fuck all that.
Fuck all that. Okay.
Why is Kane like that?
Did you see him go off on
just listened to it. Wait, now Kane.
I haven't seen it.
And I love Kane. I love no beef with Kane. But Kane,
I want no smoke. Us. Yeah, you drugged us for filth, honey.
And we did nothing. I think we've been very nice to Kane.
Yeah, we always go up for Kane. So for him to like berate us,
drug us today, baby.
Yeah, over Trey Womack.
Pixie dust. I mean, I know pixie dust that Trey Womack have. Baby, I need that kind of pixie dust, because baby, the spell that he have on these good girls, the way they be fighting for him, honey. I need that, girl.
Yeah.
Girl.
So back to my question, Reesie. Why is y'all in everybody's phones? Why? Why?
Well, what happened was with that situation. Am I frozen? Am I good?
No, you good, baby.
Okay. So with that situation within each other's phones, so that situation, to clear that up, after the 4th of July, because me and Dior were trying to build some type of, at least a camaraderie, I was comfortable enough to say, hey, Dior, I've heard, well, Tonio said to me that he was y'all's enemy. So what's going on? Because there was another situation that happened literally like maybe 2 weeks prior to personally, and it was very parallel. And so I was like, he said this, and I turned my phone to him and said that their enemy. I was like, I know that they had him and so had a problem, which was another one of Dior's gay children. And I was like, is everything okay? Because, you know, he said this when I was trying to do the panel. And then he was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'll ask Trey Howard. Trey Howard about it. And so when Markel called him, Tonio completely lied, but then turned around and called me and said, "Yeah, I remember saying that." So I think that's what the thing was with that situation. If that helps.
And you know what? So while we're on the subject of Antonio, and I'm glad because I wanted to remember to ask you this. From your perspective, from the experience lived with your friendship, can you break down exactly from your perspective what happened with your relationship with him? Because it seems as if you have a certain level of disdain for him when his name comes up in these scenes, and we're just like, child, like, where is this energy coming from? So I think it's much. I personally feel like it's probably much deeper than what we've been seeing. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah.
If you want to.
I might cry a little bit.
Everybody get their wine and they drinks. Get your wines, bitches. Get your wines.
I gotta go to work. Y'all are a bad influence.
Bitches.
When I befriended Tonio, I met him through my best friend of over 10 years. And Tonio was a young gay guy just moving to Dallas, and he just kind of clung to me. And because I didn't have friends here at the time, I clung to him as well. We spent a lot of time together. But then I would hear, I'm not a person that goes off of he said, she said, but I would hear people like Kane, people like Aubrey to say things like, girl, Tonio is just talking shit about you. Tonio talking shit about you. So, but I couldn't speak to that because I don't go off of he said, she said. The reason why me and Aubrey's friendship kind of took a horrible turn is because Tonio and Aubrey started to hang out together, or Tonio would make his way to Aubrey or whatever. And in our friend group, I was like, I asked Tonio, I was like, girl, you've been in a relationship before. This is what's going on with Aubrey's relationship. What do you think I should tell my friend? And then so he went back and told Aubrey. I don't know how it came back to Aubrey, but it pissed him off.
And that's what started you and his feud.
And I can see that. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And it hurts. It hurts only because I couldn't prove it. And so I was just like, no, he's not doing that. Then there was a night we were leaving an event and Aubrey and Kane clung together. And then they were like, we went outside and Aubrey and Kane was like, well, Reesie, he came out to the bar with us and he was just dragging you and da-da-da-da. And I was like, no, he wasn't. No, he would never drag me. Y'all lying. Fuck that. I'm like that because this my friend. My friend wouldn't do that. And y'all against me. I don't know you, Kane, and Aubrey, you against me right now. So I ain't believing nothing when, in fact, I believe that it was true. So what was the tipping point was when the footage of the situation, well, actually, let's go back. When he said to me that those were his enemies, and I felt like, this is something that I like to do. I love to do panels. I love to speak on these things. So you didn't even support me, friend, and say congratulations on a booking or something. So that kind of, me and him had a huge falling out about that. And then his birthday came up and I was like, I'm not coming to your quick little get together. I come to the dinner, but I'm not coming to the get together. And at that time, he invited Ariel. As me and Ariel started to build a relationship, Ariel came to me and she was like, Reesie, I just want to let you know, how are you and Tonio? And I was like, I don't really talk to him like that. I'm just doing me right now. Well, just watch him. And I'm like, well, this is another person that's saying something. So then for it to come full circle, and the reason why I wanted to touch him that night was because there was another situation where he had, I don't know what's true or what's not true with him and the George situation, but I know what he told me. And then I saw how George felt about it. And I felt bad because I'm like, who is lying here? Because I'm caught in the middle because I don't know, is my friend lying? Is this person that I don't really care for lying? Who is it? Because I just want to know what's right. But when we got to this particular scene and addressed everything in the room, because we passed the spoon, and y'all understand what that is. And he sat there,
Okay.
and he turned on me and just lied in front of everybody. It just really outdid me. So as far as him, I told him at the beginning of the season, before we even, because he wanted to be on the show so bad, and I told him, I said, if the show comes in between us, I would drag you in the middle of the street and I would beat your ass for this friendship. And he was like, okay. But then for him to sit at that table amongst these girls that nobody cared for him, everybody would literally avoid him, and then he would lie on me to them, it really hurt.
Is that what caused you to put that statement out 2 weeks ago? I think it was like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, where you put that statement out on social media, and you basically said to the entire cast, bitch, I don't like none of you hoes. I was here for you whores. I'm not here for you whores. I am here for myself, and I ain't none of you whores friends. Fuck you and fuck your life. RG. And I wanted to know, was that or was it something else? Because I think we all who reviewed the show saw that and said, "Oh, girl, well, what happened?" Because we thought, and I thought at least if it was one person you was still cool with, I thought you was cool with Ariel, and I thought you was cool with Dior at that point, but I guess not. But I knew I thought you was okay with Ariel at that point still, and I just wanted to know, was Antonio the impetus behind that statement, or was it something else that caused you to put that statement out there? Because that was, you kind of sliced a few whores.
It was something else.
Okay,
Tonio. Okay, that post had nothing to do with Tonio, because if Tonio admits his wrong, then we're not going to be in the same place, but we can be good.
I was just about to ask you that.
That post, and that's only because he's gotten into my heart. You know what I'm saying? Like when you get there, you're there. And that post was triggered because there was something, and the only way that I'll speak on it in depth is if other people bring it up, which then would confirm my feeling on it. But there was something very, very serious to me that I had expressed to one person, and everybody was gossiping about it in the group, probably excluding Dior and Carrie D, but everybody else was gossiping about it in the group.
Y'all always try to make it like Carrie D so innocent. I know he do something. He probably
he's not innocent by far. But they started gossiping about it in the group, and the thing about it is, I had heard some of the gossip, and so that's when I made that post. And I was
detrimental to you?
No, it was just something. It was something that I thought that was important, and because as it pertains to my personal life, I was I can't really say because I don't want to relive that, but I would just say that it was pertaining to my interactions with some people and my friendships and things like that. And it just seemed like people were just taking my feelings as a joke amongst the entire group. It was a kiki about it. And there were certain people I expected to bring me back this information if I'm being talked about, which led to, I don't know if y'all saw the Snapchat post of me and George getting into it, because I literally, when I made that post, I stopped talking to everybody on the cast personally. Total halt. And when we all came back together, that was literally the first time I seen the group all together was at Carrie D's video shoot. And when I walked into the room, the energy was off. Literally nobody came and spoke to me except for Ariel. Kane and Trey, we all arrived together because we was just leaving from a interview with another podcast. Nobody said a word to me, not a word. And so I already was like, okay, I know everybody has to be talking about me. And then even when I spoke, Premier, when I walked in, he was talking to some guy, and then we locked eyes, which the reason why I think he spoke to me. But then when I left, I got in the car with a friend and we was waiting for Kane and Trey to come out. And he was like, well, girl, you know, they was up there. The whole conversation was about Reesie G. And I was like, no, it wasn't. And she was like, yes, it was. I said, did you hear? I heard parts of it. And so I got out of the car and everybody was coming out. And I walked up to Kane and I said, did I come up in conversation? And he was like, I don't know. Kane drunk at this point. So, you know, Kane he be in his own world. And then I asked Trey Womack, I said, did I come up in conversation? He was like, I'll talk to you about it later. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. And I said, Ariel, did I come up in conversation? And she was like, I'm out of it. I'm out. I said, okay. Premier, did I come up in conversation? And then he expressed that he felt like the post that I made was about him when it wasn't, because he's not contracted with the show this season the way that the cast members are. So it wasn't about him. And then here comes George interjecting it, which blew up. And then at that point, I was just like, yeah, I'm cool on everybody. Officially, I'm cool. And then like Dior said on another interview, he said, we don't have any division in the group. It's everybody against Reesie. And I'm like, okay, I haven't talked to y'all.
What interview was that?
Yeah.
He went and did an interview with the Royal Couch. No. I take that back. He did an interview. It was with y'all when he said it.
Markel?
Wait, we're innocent. I'm as pure
Hold
as
on.
a drink.
What cast member we're talking about now?
Dior.
Actually, I think he did say that. I think he did say that.
I just don't remember.
I didn't.
I think that's when I finally had chimed in. He was like, I mean, we hang out and this and that. And to be very clear.
Oh, he was talking about his relationship with CJ. Like, they're not really friends.
That's what say it again?
I remember when Dior was on, he was talking about his relationship with CJ and how they're not really friends. Like that's how he.
Well, and then even to that, I can honestly apologize because I may have misspoke when I said that they were friends, and I can eat crow on that because I just assumed that they were friends because CJ and Trey Howard were friends because. I mean, I thought they all was, you know, I mean, I had heard the recording and they was keying like they already knew each other and this and that. And so I just assumed that they all was in.
Did you know you had the CIA on your team?
Huh?
Did you know you had the CIA on your team? Because the girls are just recording.
Baby.
And the thing about it is, I didn't even know it was that deep to have to record because I'm like, that's what threw me too. Because I'm like, if y'all are friends, why y'all recording each other for one? And the only way I got that recording was from Dior. Dior sent me the first recording, which blew me away because it was all CJ saying all this shit. And then in turn, CJ sent me a recording. And so at this point, I was like,
Reesie, let me give you
real quick on this situation with the recording. So if it wasn't for Dior, you wouldn't have known there was a snake in the camp.
Reesie, and let me give you some advice on this, Reesie. Coming out of the beef sector of YouTube, as they say, I'm a part of many sectors of YouTube, but one of my sectors is the beef sector. Whores record everything. Bitch, you could call a whore and say, hey, today is Friday. Expect that conversation, unless that's your friend that you talk to face to face, expect that what you said on the phone, you either on speakerphone or that whore is recorded. Because these whores ain't loyal at all.
I just didn't think, listen, like when I tell y'all, if y'all were to come to Dallas and like get to know me and chill with me, listen, I promise y'all, I'm smoking a blunt. I'm playing the game. I'm shit. This is gone. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm off time, it's off time. So I don't be in all of that stuff. Mm. And it's like to hear that it hurt my feelings so much because I was like, I don't care because CJ had already let me know that he was friends. Well, from what he told me, he was friends with Trey Howard and
the girls just want to be counted, so they're gonna say they have friends.
Right.
And so I mean, I was like, okay, cool, because when I tell you this boy used to go so hard for Trey Howard, like he need to be on the show, Reesie. He need to be on the show. He need to be on the show. And I put him on the show, and I felt played. I put him on the show because of my producer saying he need to be on the show. But then I hear the recording, and he's like, I told you I was going to get you on the show, right? And I'm just like, well, damn, nigga. And like...
He probably was trying to fuck.
Back in. Well, actually, he wanted to at one time. I don't know.
Let me ask you, speaking of fuck, Reesie, I have a question. Because Wild Eye Wiley is saying that y'all got it down.
Let's not. I don't even want to bring
down. And I just want to give you an opportunity because I love you, dear one, to clear your name.
Please.
I would hate for you to be
don't say you did it with
that type of troglodyte. Please clear your name because Wild Eye Wiley is said that he bust you down, girl. And I don't want you to be associated with that level brand.
Right.
Y'all are late to the party. This has already been debunked.
Yeah, it's already been talked about. I mean,
It's already been.
I just want to put it out on record again.
But for your ears, and y'all aren't moving from my side either. But I mean, I hope that I'm moving. But for your ears, when I first moved here back in 2000, it was 2000. I think it was 2017. We had sex one time, protected. It was a session. I didn't see him ever again. And then I never said anything about it publicly. I had told Stonewise Clark and I had told Oliver Twist that it had happened just as a kiki, because I mean it was sex. It was what it was. It wasn't a bad session, just being honest. No shade.
Come through, Wiley.
I'm shocked.
It wasn't a bad session because he went
didn't
on
shit
James
on you
Cooper.
like he did Rico. I'm sorry. Let me stop.
No, I mean, the thing about it is he went on James Cooper. He was like, because James Cooper asked him, so what do you think about chasing Dallas? And he was like, Reesie G got some good booty. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck?
I mean, at least it was a compliment. At least he didn't say nothing bad.
I mean, oh yes, he complimented the girl down because I mean he's telling no lies there. But I mean, it happened, but I didn't think that it would come up and he would use that for clout. But
Wiley will use anything for clout.
Can you speak to Trey Womack?
I like your honesty. I always tell people, if you did it, say you did it. If you said it, say you said it. So I respect it.
I mean,
people will try to use your tea against you.
I have sex with Scotty. I'm going to admit to it. And I'm going to be like, Scotty bust me down. And it was real good.
Right now.
Hide your kids, hide your wife. El Teddy's out here. What happened?
You got rid of Reesie.
Oh, goddamn. Me and Scotty.
You got rid of me too.
Wrong person. You left the skankdacious one.
If that does happen, you already know somebody's gonna tell me everything. So, and I want to know everything. I want to know the Rudy from the Tootie, point blank. Don't leave.
And child Scotty over there blushing and shit.
Right.
He gonna
blushing
be
like, and stuff. Speak on it, child. Speak on. Don't be over there hiding and hiding.
Right. Because he gonna be like, El Teddy got some good booty and he got some inches on him too. He know how to stroke that thing down. He got a good stroke game. I got the whole team now. Don't listen.
Sorry, like, oh, that's not a narrative. Dobie. Boop, boop. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's why
we so blessed with fever. Right? Lord have mercy, Jesus.
I pressed the wrong button. I was
you good now?
I think that's I think I pressed the wrong button. My bad.
Oh, okay.
It happens.
Somebody was asking something about Trey Womack.
Yeah, I was just asking, since we're talking about, potential situations, since this was brought up in the past episode, is there just some light there, or is there some truth to you guys actually having relations?
Me and Trey.
And I wouldn't blame you. Okay. Never.
Mm-hmm.
Would you?
He had sex. Would I have sex with him? Sure. I think he's very attractive. I think he's very attractive.
I just hope he has the leg strength.
He would be a no for me. He would be a pass for me.
He just gonna need the leg. I'm a big girl. He gotta have leg strength.
Okay.
I mean, my thing is when it comes down to like guys that I date and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I like a guy that that's in touch with his fishy side. I don't really care if you're a top or a bottom, but that kind of is like a thing for me. Like, I just like a guy just to be gay and that's it. Like, I don't do DL dudes and all of that stuff. But I mean, I think that Trey Womack is very attractive. I think he has drive. I think he has things on my checklist for him to be like a boyfriend or a pre-fiance or a husband. Most definitely.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And driving a Benz doesn't hurt either. Hello, guys.
No, don't.
Or cashing in that military check.
Right. He got them benefits. I was just
going to say that. Truck, but I mean, I definitely. I mean, a Benz does look good in front of the mother. Okay.
Okay.
But,
I know that's right.
Oh, yeah, fluffy God. Okay.
And speaking of like mother though, and like I go back to the whole thing, like in a way you are. I mean, you found a way to bring people together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that once I guarantee y'all, once the show and the reunion is done and airs, there's going to be a total different dynamic. I mean, it's what happened last year, and then I think that that's another reason why I don't really want to add even new people into the situation if we do a season 3, which I just feel 75% about it. But I mean, I think once people actually understand this is how it goes and this is how you have to deal with Reesie as EP and cast member, I think they get it. But the thing about it is, I don't know if people are uncomfortable because nobody brings anything to me. So, excuse me. So like the other night when I came up in conversation, I'm like, well, what's the problem? Somebody say something to me because I haven't talked to y'all in about 3 weeks. And now it's been like 4 weeks, like personally, because I usually call and check in. Hey, how you doing? Da, 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 da. All right, we need to go do this and da, da, da. But then I stopped that because I need to do some self work, and that's more important to me. But I mean, if they bring stuff to me, I'm not going to lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna tell you the truth and just be straight up with it.
Speak on this real. Oh, sorry. Speak on this real quick because a lot of people in the chat had something to say, and I had to follow up earlier in the chat with my response. In the beginning, when I started reviewing web series, I had a problem with cast members not being compensated. But when we look at it and we know that the hustle and the struggle at the same time, you guys are not Bravo Network. You guys are not major networks. You're coming out of your own pockets to do this. We've had a few cast members on here also agree to say, well, the reward is exposure. And we've had Wuda Lee on here with one of the first interviews I had on my channel. Shout out to husband, yes, God, honey. Okay. Where he explained that he may not have gotten paid. He said this like we didn't get paid, but it pushed his waist trainer line, and he was selling like a motherfucker. So I do agree when you say you come on here, you got to plug your shit. You got to be up and you got to be ready for the tea because it does seem like it has paid off networking. Okay. It does seem like it has paid off in that aspect. So can you just tell the people, I guess reiterating what
somebody done called him.
The Dallas gods don't want us to be great.
No, that's Spectrum. Spectrum, listen, you know, being living in the state of Texas.
Yeah, you're still here. We can see you.
Fuck off.
Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Okay, I can't hear y'all. Hold on. I'm gonna have to go out and come back in. That's Undario calling me. Hold on, I'm gonna have to go out and come back in.
Undario, we trying to do business, honey.
Can you
we trying to network, honey.
Yeah, you can click out and come back in.
Yeah, you can click out and come back in. Just leave the studio, and then I'll bring you back on when you're back.
Boy, the artist, don't make me fuck you up.
Talk about some Wuda got a whole boyfriend. Y'all know me for my work. Y'all know I don't mind sleeping with somebody's husband.
Me out. Boy, I will fuck you up.
What a nigga don't know won't hurt him.
I done slept with many
Keep playing. Keep playing.
What?
Y'all keep playing.
What a nigga don't know won't hurt him.
Yo, don't.
What a nigga don't know won't hurt him.
When you in the casket with Big Mama, I don't know how you got there.
Boy,
Officer, he said he was going to get a pack of cigarettes. I don't know what happened.
I would drive to your
house. Honey, because the way I suck ping, it ain't gonna be no excuses to talk about you went to get cigarettes. No, honey. No.
All day.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No,
I don't want to keep playing around if you want to.
No, but I respect people's relations. I'm in a relationship myself. Well, in a way, yeah. But
what was the question? What was the question?
When it comes down to the reward, like a lot of people have in the chat were just saying basically that they had a problem that they weren't getting paid. But my rebuttal to that is like, you know, the exposure. Wuda Lee and a bunch of other cast members that have came on said that in the process, they might have not gotten compensated from the show, but their exposure allowed them to sell their products.
Mm-hmm. And for me, if I had the money to pay people, I wouldn't mind paying because I know for sure you're going to show up if you're getting paid. No shade. But I mean, I do think that the way that I prompt, if y'all would see these emails, I constantly ask them, we need work scenes, we need product scenes. I tell them, okay, I actually said at the end of the season, I'm going to create a website for everybody's product to be on the website so people can go and purchase. So, I mean, if you got a product, but if you don't have one, then, I mean, how you going to benefit from the show? Because the example that I use all the time, I said we have 40,000 subscribers. If you sell a t-shirt for $1, you have potential to make $40,000. Why not? That's why Networking Honey, Millennial 7-Step Guide to Effective Networking is now on sale for
Come on, plug the book.
Oh, I gave your book for free promotion on one of my videos.
And while we're talking about Networking Honey, can you go ahead and plug all of your stuff where people can find you, where people can buy the book, and just everything where Reesie G is at and what you're doing? Yes, God.
Yes, so Networking Honey, a Millennial 7-Step Guide to Effectively Networking, is literally a 7-step guide to show each and every entrepreneur or person that is business-minded how to network, because I think that there's an untapped market there. You can pre-order now. The official release date is March 2020. You can purchase at networkinghoney.com or reesieg.com. And then all of my social media is Reesie G. Twitter is Reesie G Tweet. I think there's definitely some viable information in there because I actually have been doing some, I have demo copies that I've been giving out to people that are close by, and they're telling me that they're getting good information out of it. So, which is really humbling because I'm like, I chronicle how I got Portia Williams as a client in there. Then I chronicle how to work the room. I chronicle what you should and shouldn't do, what you should and shouldn't say. And so I think that that's very viable information because a lot of people that may have a thriving brand, Yes Bitch TV, may be somewhat of a recluse, but they need to get out more and network just to continue to push the brand. You get what I'm saying? So I think that people just don't know how to do it. So it's an easy read, 82 pages, figure it out.
Okay. And because this is almost over 2.5 hours, I do got to get ready for work soon. But I do want to we do want to do a backstage moment with you. But before we end things, I definitely want to ask the panel: do you guys have anything else for Reesie G?
Scotty, not here, but maybe backstage. We gonna get it in backstage, honey.
Scotty, you're muted or something, honey. I can't hear you. I can't hear you at all.
He's gonna come out and come back in.
So while we're waiting on,
yes, I have a question about the pants.
Hold on. No,
okay, about the pants you had on last episode. They had the gap. How was the pant? Was it long socks and you had like jean shorts on? Because there was a sizable gap in between. That thing took me in between your jeans where you stopped and where they restarted. Like it was it magic? Was there mesh holding them together and the camera was the trick of the eye and we just couldn't see it?
No, it's just my Atlanta shit. I had on my denim shorts and my knee high socks. It's just and my little poop shoes. Yeah.
Listen, that thing took me.
I want to put something tight.
Also, why was your shirt half tucked in and half tucked out? As a mama, that vexed my spirit. I'm sorry, but as a mama, I was like, baby, if you don't tuck your shirt in, like it was half tucked. Who said that? Don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. I don't want to.
It's not a French tuck. It's not a French tuck, but it's another type of stuff. Look it up. Like if you look up a French tuck where it's tucked in the front, in the shirt, in the front, and then the back is out. There's also that tuck too.
Yeah, I don't like that one because it makes me feel like you tuck your shirt in, please.
Reesie, here's my question, and I want you to go on the record. We have those of us here who are reviewers of the show, and we come on here, we interview everybody. Are we going to get this good press pass to the reunion since you have control over that? I've been saying that to every cast member to talk to you because you have control over who gets invited to said reunion. And we've been over here doing the people's work, doing the Lord's work over here, interviewing everybody over here.
So it's usually 6 of y'all, right? Now,
Well,
I do charge.
we'll tell you
plus the gas.
backstage who it is. We'll tell you backstage who it is.
Okay. I mean, I would say this. If y'all can make it down to Dallas, y'all would definitely have a seat at the reunion because press is only invited.
Okay.
So if y'all can make it down to Dallas, I'll tell y'all the date, and y'all will be the only ones in there free because I still got to make my money back.
I ain't mad at you not going.
Right.
We ain't mad.
But I will tell y'all. I don't want to say it I'll tell y'all privately. The date.
We'll do it backstage.
But what I will say is it is a Saturday. So
okay.
Oh, that's perfect.
I'm off. I'll flex my schedule.
Dario,
as long as Corona ain't invited, child.
Backstage. You heard me, yes, bitch.
What'd you say?
The Cats and Meow and Dario want the link to come to the after party backstage.
Can they do that with all of us on there?
Well, they can be, like I said, we'll talk about it backstage.
Okay.
We'll talk about it when we get off.
Okay.
Because
how you get backstage? I want to get backstage and talk about regular shit too.
Oh, we will. I have to log out. I have to leave I have to end the broadcast, and then it'll send us backstage. But I know Scotty wanted to say something before he was interrupted early with the.
Sorry.
We can't hear you, bestie. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you at all. It's mute.
And
you're not muted. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Shit.
He's not muted. We just can't hear him. You know, Scotty in them backwoods of Mississippi and Alabama, you know, they're in backwoods over there.
Right.
They don't get good internet.
I cannot hear you, baby.
That's not Al Gore's internet in them backwoods.
So while we take this time real quick, is there anything else that you wanted to convey to the people, Reesie, or misspell any misconceptions, or just anything that you want to let the people know that they don't already know?
I will say this, and it's not me throwing anybody under the bus, but in reference to the fight, I'll go down the list real quick. The entire production team, because it's more than just CJ, the entire production team did not know what was happening with that. So I would like to make that very clear. I'm not on one side over the other. I think that rumors are automatically on his side. That's not true. I have nothing against the cast. I have nothing that I dislike about Trey Howard or Dior is pertaining to what we filmed this season. And the same goes for George. And I think that that's it. I just want to go publicly by saying those things because I think that people have that recurring thing. But my opinion is my opinion, and I hope that the cast members that take offense to my opinion removes EP from it and only put a person in it. And I hope that they understand that that's just my opinion, and I hope that they look at the facts of I've never used anything against them, and I literally, to be very honest, I sit there, even though I am behind the camera and I have to hold the camera sometimes and I have to do all that stuff, I still am very fair because I never use any information that they've said against them, if that makes sense, and I would never do that.
Okay. Still can't hear you, baby.
Scotty.
What is the problem there?
Right.
At least it didn't happen in the beginning.
You might need to go all the way out and come back in. I saw you mouth Reesie, but that was it.
Maybe, logging all the way out and then just clicking on the link again would probably be better. That might be.
Magically, are you in Alabama? Because magically, Alabama is like one of the only states that don't have coronavirus. Did y'all see that little map that they've been putting on? Why Alabama the only state that don't have coronavirus, and the rest of our ass
He is cotton picking country ass Mississippi. Okay,
right. Even coronavirus don't want no parts of Alabama. I'm just saying.
Just real quick, everybody, I want to say thank you to the chat. I appreciate you guys for coming through, asking your questions. We
love you.
Apologize if we weren't able to get through all of them.
We really love y'all, chat. We really
again, this is the stage for people to come through and speak their piece, and this has definitely been an enlightening conversation, and I appreciate it. even if some things came off a little, we're not just advocates for ourselves and what we're looking for. We're also advocates for the viewers that don't have their own platforms like we do. So a lot of the times when we're asking certain questions, it's not about our personal feelings. It's just about the overall questions of the viewers.
That's question viewers.
So we do appreciate you guys for coming through. All of the Chasing Dallas, Chasing Reality brand cast members that came through the chat. My husband, yes, I will be your wifey, honey. Carrie D, we appreciate you. Yes, God, honey. Yes, God. Carrie D can sing at our wedding, honey. Carrie D can sing at our wedding, honey.
Next season, can you get Tyler Perry to cast the cast members? Because I just need some more, eye candy for the cast there. Tyler Perry can give me some real.
I promise you. Like,
can you give me a half new shot of somebody?
All the popular girls in Dallas, the hot boys and everybody, season 1, they said no because nobody really cared for me out here. But now everybody is.
Yeah, y'all need to have a pool party or something. Damn the lingerie party, Reesie. You host a pool party where they just half naked, water and the sun glistening off their body, muscles and bulge and ass cheeks and all kinds of shit. I'm just here for it. I'm here for all of that. Yeah.
And can you? We'll talk about that backstage. I have 2 questions for, but that's a backstage conversation. Scotty, you good? Did you want to get your question real quick?
I'm over it.
You can hear you now.
We hear you now.
I'm over it now. It don't even matter.
You know what, Scotty?
He's still blushing, Teddy.
I know.
I'm not blushing.
Can you take that jacket off before we go backstage? Well,
No, we cannot. Stop
it. Let's go ahead. This is over 2.5 hours long. I want to say thank you to my panel members. Everyone, try to throw a yes God in the chat as quick as you can, real quick, so people can hit on your avatars and follow you. Ebby Reviews, thank you so much for coming through, Boo, as always. LTD27 Official, we appreciate you.
Love you, Boo.
We may have to mute you sometimes, but, hey.
See what I'm saying?
Mr. Still Standing, Scotty, our special co-host for today, we appreciate you coming through. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Giving you the real tea, we appreciate you so much for coming through as well. Really BTV, we appreciate, and again, we are here because of Mother in a way, like we can say what we want to say, but we've all gathered here today in mutual like-mindedness because of this show. So I can definitely say that's my takeaway, and I appreciate that. And special guest Reesie G, executive producer, yes God, singular, yes God. Thank you so much for coming through and weathering this storm. It definitely shows your character, and you've definitely I'm walking away thinking differently now, so I appreciate that.
And thank you for not dragging me for the shit I said on my reviews.
Oh,
girl, I didn't actually watch mine, so I would hate the thing.
I always go in, but that's just my.
I don't ever really go in. I honestly don't. And if they say I do, they lie.
And also to the other reviewers,
the way you just look, Reesie. The way you just look.
I don't really go in.
Whatever.
That's that. And to the other reviewers that came through, we also appreciate you. The Cats Meow, Hermit TV, everybody. Amber Cotton, thank you for moderating as always.
In here.
Huh?
The Ghetto View, I know she was in here too, and she reviewed
Yes, she was.
The Ghetto View, we appreciate you. Everyone that has just came through and showed a lot of love, we definitely love you. And until next time, guys, anything else before we depart from this? Before we go backstage? Oh, Dario, shout out to you for rolling through. I see you're backstage right now waiting to be heard. Yes, God.
Just thanks for all the support, basically. That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We all appreciate it. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful night. And until next time, honey,